everyone, it's Angela from Bake Angel. Welcome back to my channel. Now, seeing as it's almost St. David's Day in Wales, I thought I would share with you my vegan Welsh cake recipe. So let's get started. So Welsh cakes are about as easy as it gets to make a small, nice bite-sized treat. We're going to start by adding our self-raising flour, salt and butter to the mixing bowl, and I have 225 grams of self-raising flour here. So I'll just dump all of that in. We have a pinch of salt and then 100 grams of room temperature plant-based butter. Now this is a vegan recipe, so I am just using plant-based ingredients for this. And then we're going to give this a stir together. So I usually start this off with a spatula just to get the bulk of that butter broken up into pieces. And then afterwards you can get in there with your hands because we actually want to get this to more of a breadcrumb consistency. And I do find that it's easier to make Welsh cakes by hand rather than using a stand mixer or a hand mixer, so that you can make sure you're rubbing in all of that butter to the flour. So now that that is mostly broken up, I'm going to wipe this off and then we'll get in there with our hands. So the secret to rubbing in butter is literally just to pick it up and rub it sort of back and forth in your hands. To start with, it feels like nothing's really happening, but then all of a sudden it will come together as the butter just incorporates with the flour, and obviously our salt is getting mixed in at the same time as well. You can also do it this way if you prefer. And like I said, it's nice and easy. This is something you could even get kids to do because there's really no difficult stages to making Welsh cakes. You can see now we are at that breadcrumb stage, and that came together really quickly, didn't it? Okay, so I will just wash my hands and then we'll add the rest of the ingredients. So next we're adding in our 50 grams of white sugar. Just going to give this a quick mix in. And then the final ingredient is our plant-based milk. Now normally Welsh cakes would be made with egg, so we're actually using the milk as the egg substitute for this recipe. And if you want to find out more about the ingredients and the substitutions, make sure you check out the recipe link, which is posted in the description below this video. So this is 4 tablespoons, 60 ml of plant-based milk. You can use any type of plant-based milk. I've chosen almond just because that's what we prefer, but you could definitely use soy or oat or coconut, whatever your preference is. In a pinch, you could even use water as well. And as you can see, I'm using my hands again, so it is a little bit messy, but again, nice and easy and quick to make. So we're just kind of pushing everything in together. And we're going to form a dough that we can actually then roll out to create the Welsh cakes. So I'll just get this bit finished off. Okay, so that's good enough for now. Next thing we're going to do is flour our surface, give it a quick knead on there and roll everything out. So I'm just going to add a silicone mat down to my surface, and this is going to help to stop everything sticking whilst we're rolling out, but I am going to flour it a little bit as well, just so we can give it an extra knead. That's probably all we need there. So then you just grab your dough, pop it on, and we will give it a bit of a knead up. So you're just wanting to make sure that it's not crumbly, there's no bits coming apart like that. Obviously as well, you could add in some mix-ins to the Welsh cake dough. Now commonly people would use currants or raisins. You could do chocolate chips, white chocolate chips as well, but I'm just keeping these plain to show you how easy they are to make with very few ingredients. And they still taste good because we're actually going to dust them in sugar at the end as well. Okay, this is fine. This is coming together really nicely. Let's just get the rest of that flour picked up. Okay, so now we're ready to roll it out. I'll just grab my rolling pin. And now it's just as simple as just rolling it out. So we want this to be not too thin. They need to be thick enough that you can pick them up and turn them over when we fry them. So I'm just going to do this. pick up our dough, just give it a quarter turn. Okay, so that's about as thick as we want here. Now I'm using a 6.5 centimeter cutter, and I'm using the scalloped edge, or you could just use the round one. It's entirely up to you. And then you're just going to cut it and pick it out, and I'll show you what they look like. So like I said, they're not too thin, fairly thick, because you are going to need to be able to flip them over. And I'm just going to pop them on a plate and carry on rolling out the rest of them. So we're ready to bake our Welsh cakes. Now I'm going to be baking these on a griddle pan. You don't need to oil it or anything, just turn it on to a low to medium heat, and then you can start to place them on. So the recipe made 16 Welsh cakes, which are 2.5 inches in size each. If you wanted to make more, you could either use a smaller cutter, roll them thinner, or just double or triple the batch as well. So now you can see I've just popped them on the griddle, give them a bit of a tap down. You'll hear them sizzling as well. And they take about 3 to 4 minutes each side to bake. So I'm just going to quickly look at this one. There we go. I think we can fit an extra one over here, so we'll do that. So the trick to knowing when they're ready is that the sides of the Welsh cake will actually turn less translucent once they're baked. So at the moment everything looks sort of a little moist, but it actually sort of dries them out a bit. Gives them that nice slightly crumbly consistency as well. Traditionally these would be made on a bake stone as well, which is why we tend to say bake for Welsh cakes. You can see that first one is done on the one side. And the second one. And make them as brown or not as you like. Again, this is something that's a total personal preference. And you can see that they do puff up a bit on the sides as well. There we go. Once your pan is to temperature as well, you'll find that they do cook relatively quickly. Just remember to keep checking on them in case they do start to go a little bit too brown for your liking. So we'll just continue on, get the rest of the batch made up, and then I'll show you the next step. Look how golden and beautiful they look though. Really simple, easy recipe that I'm sure anybody, even people that aren't Welsh, would like these. Once the Welsh cakes are baked, the last step then is to toss them in sugar. So I'm just going to pick one up, pop it in a bowl of sugar, and then use my fork to just turn it over a few times. That sugar, because they're warm, will actually stick to them a little bit as well. It just gives a really, really nice texture and additional sweetness to the Welsh cakes. And there we go. That's as easy as it is to make Welsh cakes. Okay, so our Welsh cakes are baked. I hope you enjoyed watching that recipe. So simple to come together. Definitely a great treat for St. David's Day as well. Let's take a close-up look at one. So you can see it's got that nice golden edges to it. Nice bit of sugar on top as well. So let's do the all-important taste test. And these are still slightly warm, which is definitely the way I recommend that you try them. What I love about these is they've got that nice sort of caramelized outer edge to them, and then inside is still nice and crumbly as well, and it's just such a nostalgic flavour that I love to bake these several times throughout the year, not just for St. David's Day. Let me know in the comments below if you've ever tried these, and also make sure you check out the recipe link in the description below as well. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on my next video. Diolch!